Hello, my name is David Hubbard and I am the Principal Bassoon of the Royal Scottish National Orchestra, and this is my beginner's guide to the bassoon. So why do I like playing the bassoon? Well, the truth is, we've become friends. I think you become a friend with your instrument. It becomes an extension of yourself. It's a way of expressing yourself. Sometimes I don't find words very easily, but it's easy just to pick up the instrument and just play, and you find that you can get across the message exactly what you want to say, or what sentiment you feel, or what emotion you want to convey. And one of the most exciting things about playing in an orchestra is that you can share that experience with your audience. You can actually make them feel happy, or make them feel sad, or make them elated. The bassoon is a woodwind instrument. It's the bass member of the woodwind family. And that means that it plays the lowest notes. And one of the reasons it plays the lowest notes is because it's the biggest. Can you see that? So what happens is the smaller the tube, the higher the note, and the longer the tube, the lower the note. So if I was to play a low note, but how high do you think the bassoon can go? Well, it's actually got 3.5 octaves. That's 43 different notes. This is called a reed. And what happens with a reed is, if you blow into it, these two different bits of the reed actually vibrate and they make a sound. And then this bassoon really is just a very expensive magnifier of sounds. You put it on here and the sound just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, as we already heard. So the reed is actually made from a piece of grass. It's a very tall piece of grass. It grows up to about 6 meters in length. And it's actually a weed. It grows all over the place in hot countries. But we use it to make reeds for our instruments. So the principle of a reed is quite simple. It's actually, this reed here is just like this blade of grass here that I picked this morning. The only difference is that it's folded over and it's cut in half, and that's what makes the vibration. But let's see if we can do the same thing with this piece of grass. So can you hear that? And that is the blade of grass just vibrating between my two thumbs. And that's what happens with our reed. So we've got our reed here. The two pieces of grass on either side, the two blades, just vibrate and we get a sound. A funny, silly sound, isn't it? It's actually 2 meters long and it's all wrapped up in a long tube, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to play it. So can you see, we start here, we go all the way down this side, all the way down to the bottom. This is actually 2 tubes here, and it goes all the way back up to the top. So can you see all these keys here? You've got one here, you've got one here, you've got one right down the bottom here. You've got one here. How many do you think there are? Yes, there's 26 of them, and there's also 5 tone holes. If you look at an orchestra, you might see at the back of an orchestra a pair of chimneys just sticking up, right in the middle of the orchestra, right behind the conductor, and that is the bassoon. And the bassoon sits next to the clarinet. I have the clarinet on my right-hand side, I have the flute in front of me on the right-hand side, and directly in front of me, I have the oboe. And behind us are the brass, and obviously in front of us are the strings. If you think the bassoon might be too big for your hands, don't worry, there are lots of different options. We've got the mini bassoon, which is literally half the size of the bassoon, and it just sounds a fifth higher. We've got the tenorune, which is just slightly bigger again. In other words, the bassoon grows with you. Then we've got the short reach bassoon, and that's where the keys are just extended so they come within the reach of the fingers, and you've got the full size bassoon. And as they get bigger, obviously they get a bit heavier, so the little instruments are very light. So you can start the bassoon with your 8, no problem at all. And equally, you can go into a full-size bassoon when you're 9 or 10, depends on your size, but don't worry about that. So if you're looking at the orchestra, you might have seen another instrument sat along the end of the line on my left, and that's the contrabassoon. Here it is. And the contrabassoon plays another octave lower than the bassoon, and its job in the orchestra is to play long notes, sustained notes, and support the sound of the orchestra. It's the bottom of the harmony. You've heard already, it's got lots of different sounds. If you want to make people laugh, all you have to do is play a low note. And that makes them laugh. But it can be very gentle, can't it? Or it can be fierce, or it can be quite menacing, or it can be mysterious. There's lots and lots of different things it can do. And in the orchestra, it's very versatile and it gets to do every job. But it can also play very fast, quick notes. And a great example of that is in Beethoven 5, where the bassoons are playing along with the cellos. The bassoon's quite heavy, and one of the biggest problems we have is weight on our left hand. So practice little and often. That's my best tip for you, is don't play for longer than 5 minutes to begin with. As soon as this hand starts to get tired, just stop and put the bassoon down. And what you have to do with wind instruments is we can't practice for hours and hours like maybe you can on a piano or something. So a lot of what we do is think about what we're going to do first before we actually do it. And that way, we make our time much more effective and much more efficient. So if you think the bassoon might be for you, and I hope you do, what do you do? How do you get started? I'm not going to lie to you, they're expensive. But the great thing is that most music centres, most counties or education authorities have bassoons waiting there for you. And all you need to do is talk to your music teacher at school, or any teacher at school, or just a friend, or maybe one of us, even in the orchestra, and we can always point you in the right direction. An instrument is not a problem, so don't let that stop you from starting. One of the great things about playing the bassoon is not many people play the bassoon, and everyone wants you to play with them in their group, or their ensemble, their band, their orchestra. You'll be flooded with opportunities. It is essentially a social instrument, and you get to play and meet other people, and that's one of the best bits. Making music together, fantastic, but also just hanging out together in the break, or quite often you'll find on a music course you might play football afterwards. That's kind of the fun element of this too.